All right, man. We're live, so no intro today. But let's get into it, man. It's a lot been going on. We're gonna tackle the Pistons, and then we'll tackle the Detroit Lions, man, and get into all of that, man. So shout out to everybody watching live on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate y'all, man. So yes, a lot been going on in both worlds, the Pistons world and Detroit Lions world. It's a lot of excitement on the Detroit Lions side of things. There's a lot of excitement on the Piston side of things, but yeah, we can start off with the Piston side of things first. So honestly, you got Jalen Duren, and you got that situation is being more reported that situation is turning nasty. I mean, he spoke. They had a Jalen Duren Day. I think he's from Delaware. He has it in Delaware or whatever. I believe if you live in Delaware, you don't pay taxes. I don't think you pay, was it state taxes? Or I think you don't pay state taxes in Delaware. Don't quote me on that. So he's pretty much broke his silence, because nobody heard nothing from him. And I think that's the smartest thing that he's done so far. And this whole thing is just not publicly say nothing, because can't nobody really attach his name to nothing. This is all speculations. It's all, stuff leaking out from the Pistons, stuff leaking out from his agent. All this is pure speculation it's what's being leaked. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know if it's the truth. We don't know if it's, half truth, full truth, no truth, all truth. You know what I'm saying? Um, so he had Jalen Duren Day. A lot of these guys, they support each other. So we see what's happening.
Appreciate the love and support that you get from this small community in Delaware County.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. Being where I grew up, this is where we used to walk right over here in this lot and grab Christmas trees. We used to sit on the step and watch the fireworks. So to now come back, have everybody out here showing love, to have the street named after me, to be able to give back to my community is what I do it for.
It had to be an exciting year for you, seeing all the fruits of your labor pay off and become an NBA All-Star, become one of the best players in the world. Just what was this last year like, you going through the league and having the success you did and setting that standard for yourself?
It's continuing to grow. Like you said, setting the high standard for myself, trying to achieve the goals that I set for myself. And, I mean, I've done a little bit, but it's still a long way to go, and I got a lot better to get.
Do you appreciate the...
So, at the end of the day, he kind of answered the small little question. And I think that's the best thing he's done so far. I think that shows a lot of maturity to as much as the backlash that he's dealt with from the fans, from the playoffs. And I've been watching basketball over 30 years, believe it or not. I've seen players struggle in the playoffs and figure it out. Kobe airballing, you know what I'm saying? I've seen players develop, from Chauncey Billups being one of the greatest Colorado high school players of all time, to struggling in Boston and taking years to finally figure it out. Even in football, you see with Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. You're just not a finished product, bro. You just never know. Most of you people think your golden years when you're young is 18, 19, 20. For men, your best years of your career, the highest earning years of your career for the average man is from 45 on up to 60. You know what I'm saying? Those are considered a golden year. So you just got so much to learn. I love the maturity from him, because to be able to hold your tongue in this situation, right? Because nobody's really came out and said nothing. You don't expect an organization like the Pistons to come out and say something bad. You just don't expect it. Trajan Langdon really don't say much. Troy Weaver didn't really say much. Tom Gore's kind of stay out the way. He just, he wanted the team. He gonna allow them to do what they do. But to me, I like the way that he's handled this situation. I like the way that he handles this situation. And that's just my opinion on it. Because most time than not, it's hard to hold your tongue. And in this era, in this social media era, when people are attacking you and attacking you and attacking you, you just feel the need to have to defend yourself. Tell me I'm wrong. And he just shut the hell up. Now, his agent is somebody that's a football agent, for what I heard. So obviously there are some things where he may not know what he's doing or whatever the situation may be. So I don't know. But in general, they're going around saying this situation is getting nasty. Now, there's been some workout videos of Jalen Duren kind of working out. You take them for granted. So I remember Killian was showing, edited clips of him like, shooting the ball. It never really translated. And I'll say this: shooting the ball in the gym, and then shooting the ball in a real game is so different. It's so different. But in general, everything tells me from his character, everything tells me that he's going to be on the up and up, bro. I kind of been in this corner in the playoffs. It's kind of frustrating, but I was like, even when we start talking about, getting Sabonis or Alperen Sengun or Gafford, Jalen Duren has the ability to do everything those guys can do and more. And I get it, you see Andre Drummond, not be the toughest soldier, out the bunch. When you see that, I get it more than most. I think y'all think that growth is just he ain't gonna get no better or nothing. I get it. But he's got better every year. He dealt with some injury issues and all that type of stuff. He's got better every year. But, just to go through this clip again, if y'all didn't see the original video I did, let's go.
About the Pistons is like, what's going to be the lingering cloud when this whole Jalen Duren situation gets finalized or at least temporarily settled? Like, is he going to sign an extension? I don't know. But this has been a awfully nasty negotiation. And so I've got real concerns there because I understand they believe Ausar Thompson is their second best player, but like Jalen Duren was an all NBA player for him last year. He was a massive factor in them winning 60 games. You can certainly criticize the playoff performance, but he was a massive factor in them winning 60 games. And, I don't know him. I don't really have a great feel for kind of his temperament or anything like that. But sometimes these negotiations, when they're ugly like this, can have consequences that aren't. Yeah.
Long lasting. And I think, and I'm not trying to give away too much here, but I think when you have negotiations like this, there's certain things that a player should not have to hear. You know what I mean? There's certain things that a player does not have to hear when the messaging comes back about why you're not getting what you believe to be your value. And those are perhaps conversations that are going to have to be had to clear the air whenever he signs his deal. Like, I don't know if he's going to take the qualifying offer. It's very rarely someone passes up $180 million guaranteed to take 9 on the thought that I'm going to go and get from insert team here. Like sometimes with a player like that, he hears, well, Boston was going to offer me this, and Sacramento was going to offer me this, and Team X is going to offer me close to, over $200 million if we were to work out a sign and trade, and then they get that in their head and they can't get it out. And I'm very curious for a guy who's still very young, who felt like he'd done enough in the regular season to warrant getting, quote unquote, his money, how that's going to play moving forward. He's a professional. He shows up, he works hard, all of that stuff. Like, nobody takes any of that away from him. I just wonder where human nature comes in after a certain point where your feelings are hurt.
And yes, he's right. Your feelings are hurt. And us as men, we're programmed to be able to get over that, though. We deal with heartbreak, failure, no. You're most likely to hear no as a little boy before a little girl is to hear a raw no. We're wired for that. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt for 2-3 days, maybe a week. You get broke up with a girl before you get rejected. We're wired to move on past feelings. nobody minds hurting the feelings of a man. Remember that. Nobody cares about your feelings. But obviously 180 is the number. And that's a lot of money. Let me just put it to you. When you believe, or you have an opportunity to make $287 million, and they ask you to take $187 million pay cut, and I get where people are talking about, I know where people are talking about, like, well, he ain't worth this or he ain't worth that. But if that was you in your position and you can hit, and they told you can get 287 and you got to take $107 million pay cut, bro, you probably like, all right, at least give me 200. At least give me the 220. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard when you look and say, oh, you ain't worth this, but or if Tyrese didn't get hurt, or if Anthony Edwards would have been eligible, if he would have been eligible for this, and if he would have, they would have made him eligible, Jalen Duren wouldn't have made it. We don't live in with ifs. If was a fifth, we all be drunk. But as far as his feelings being hurt, I understand it. I really do. But we're wired as men to move past it. We wired to move past it. So they have to come up with a compromise. Either he take the qualifying offer and that is what it is, or, we come up with a shorter deal. Okay, we willing to commit 50 a year for 2 years. Two. Are you on 50 million? We'll do 50 for 2 years. And then after that, we'll talk about what you worth after that. Or you want to do 3 years for 40, we can do that. And that's 120. Those would be my two things. Okay, we don't mind giving you 50 million for 2 years. That's not a big deal. Because next year that contract is expiring. Cool. You want your 50? Take it for 2 years. And you prove it to us that you worth that, and so be it. So, if you don't want to take the 5 years at 38, what's that? And think about it. He's what, 22 years old? How old is this brother, man? Because there's a couple strategies that he can take depending on his age. So, he'll be 23 in November. So, I mean, if you do a 5-year deal, you be 28 years old, you get another big contract right in your prime. If you were to do a 2-year deal, you be 25 years, and then, you can get another big deal. So it all depends, because the CBA is about to get redone again. So if you as agent and the CBA is about to do another deal, do you really want to sign a 5-year deal? Now, if I sign 5 years for 287, I live with that. But if we can't get that, and we know that the collective bargaining agreement is up in the NBA, let's see. I think it's up at the next season. So it is. It runs through 29-30. With a mutual opt-out after 28-29. So it could be up after 28-29. So we say 26-27, 27-28, 28-20. Look, it's probably beneficial looking at the CBA, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's probably beneficial him sign a 3-year deal. That's probably the most beneficial thing that he can do. The most beneficial deal is to sign a 3-year deal. When your deal is up, the CBA is up, and then the new money kick in. So if you believe the CBA money is going to go up for the players, you might as well do it. You might as well just sign a 3-year deal. That way, you get the 3-year deal, you handle your business. You're 25, you're 26 years old. Then you can strike while the iron is hot. So if I'm him, I'm probably most likely signing the 3-year deal. And then once that collective bargaining agreement up, well, I'm lining it up with the collective bargaining agreement, and then I'm gonna really cash in on that new collective bargaining agreement. But hey, what up, the Dot Cash? He said, love the content. Been following for a few years. Appreciate you, Dot Entertainment. Dot Cash Entertainment. 38.40 for JD. The Titian should be offering that, in my opinion. He said it can't be emotional like moms, no cap. I mean, yeah, I mean, our feelings get hurt all the time. We wired for our feelings to get hurt. Dot Cash 40 at least. I mean 38 being the lowest. He says, you know, is that 180 for 4 or 5? That's a great question. Let me see. 180 divided by 4. 180 divided by 4 would be 45 million a year. By 5 would be 36. So if I'm a bad man, it's on the 36 side of things. It's the 5-year deal. You know, it's a 5-year. Sign and trade. I mean, where you gonna sign and trade them to? I mean, I'm obviously there's options. Duren is going all in about his bread. You got to, man. You need your money. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I ain't mad at him. 140 for 180 for 4 years. Then that's 30. That's 45. They ain't trying to pay him that. I mean, it is what it is. Now my thing is this: if you want to shortchange him, that means you better bring in some help. That's my thing. If you gonna shortchange the brother, then you better go get him some help. Don't be trying to shortchange the Detroit, players, and then you ain't gonna put the best players.
The biggest question I've got about the Pistons is like.
But here go another interesting clip right here. Let's switch lanes. It's real short. I don't know if it's a bigger clip than this because it's not letting me pause it.
If you consider a short.
So here you go right here. So this is something I was gonna do a video on. I'm like, yeah, I could just put it in the live stream and clip it. So this is interesting. I'm gonna let it play a couple times, and I want to know what y'all think.
Because now you're sitting here, and here's what's interesting. In the report, they consider Ausar Thompson their second best player. If you consider Ausar your second best player, first of all, you're effed as far as winning a championship. Because now you're sitting here, and here's what's interesting. In the report, they consider Ausar Thompson their second best player. If you consider Ausar your second best player, first of all, you're effed as far as winning a championship. Because now.
So, I mean, that's interesting that he said that, right? And he's, if you didn't hear what he said or didn't understand, it was Mike Valenti. If you're just listening, he said if you consider Ausar Thompson your second best player, which has been reported, you're effed if he's your second best player on the championship team. Now, it seems like he don't have an issue with Duren being the second best player. I mean, in this clip, me assuming, it seems like I could see Duren being the second best player. And like I said, I would agree with that right now. I know Ausar is just so dominant defensively, but Duren can do things that other players can't do at his position, and Ausar can too. I mean, you see the flashes of the mid-range jump shot, don't look bad. You see him be able to take guys off the dribble, handle the ball a lot good, being a really good passer, get up and down the floor. The durability is starting to get fixed with him. Defensively, he flashes here and there. Everybody big thing is the lights are too bright for him. I mean, he's not a finished product, and that's what I live by. But I think what Mike Valenti is missing in what he's missing is that they are projecting. They're projecting Ausar Thompson to be their second best player. I think that's what he's missing. I think they're banking on him getting a jump shot. I think they say he can defend. I think most people say he's the best defender in the NBA after the playoffs, and that's including Victor Wembanyama. Okay, he can dribble, he can pass, But now the problem is when a jump shot, he doesn't have the confidence to shoot the jump shot. He can't drive, he can't finish at the rim. And if they're saying that we believe that he can get a jump shot, he's our second best player. And, and the mode is Kawhi Leonard. The mode is Paul George. That's the mode they look at him in. Kawhi didn't have the best jump shot coming in. I don't even say Kawhi probably would handle the ball as good as this kid or pass it as good as this kid. But Kawhi was a worker. He was a worker bee. He worked on his jump shot. He worked on his form. You know what I'm saying? He worked on his mid-range jumper, and that's what Kawhi really made his chili at, was the mid-range jumper. And then he kind of took it out to the 3-point line. And I think looking at the shots that Ausar Thompson is taking this summer, just some of the clips, and they don't really mean much in the grand scheme of things. But looking at some of the mid range jumpers, that the kind of him going to the mid range a little bit more and stopping and popping and off the dribble a little bit. I think he's understood. Let me just work on 10 to 15 feet and shooting that jumper. But if he able to hit that mid range jumper, something that Tony Parker was able to do, if he was able to hit that mid range jumper, he is your second best player. And I think if that jumper fall, I think you'll see him as a ball handler excel. I think him as a ball handler excels. I think him as a his assist would excel, and I think he's somebody with Dennis Jenkins can and Cade Cunningham behind Cade Cunningham and eventually with Abuka Corey can handle the ball for you. The reason he can't handle the ball now is because they pack the paint in on him. So if they can pack the paint in on him, who can he really facilitate to? He can't throw a lob to Duren. If he drive it, he can't really drive and kick because guess what? Everybody gonna stay home on the shooters because they be like, we'll live with him shooting a layup. So his inability, his shot is affecting his whole offensive game. His shot is affecting his whole offensive game because if he's scared to shoot, then he really be missing layups. He really be missing dunks. Then he's not aggressive offensively. So then if he drive, like I said, who can he create for if everybody packing the paint or staying at home on the shooter? So, but if he able to hit a shot, in my opinion, you probably going to championship with him and Duren and Cade. I mean, yeah, because it changes everything. You got Kawhi Leonard right there with you. You got Paul George right there with you. You know what I'm saying? You got a Scottie Pippen right there with you. You got him right there with you. I mean, you got, you want to go a little bit further, maybe Grant Hill type right there with you. So I get what he's saying, but he's not a finished product. Now, if he is a finished product and he never able to get a jump shot, then you looking like, okay, Bruce Bowen can't be your second best player. Tony Allen can't be your second best player. I get it at that point, but I think there's projection here. And then you got to also understand this point of view. They didn't pick Ausar Thompson. They didn't pick him. So this is totally objective. I think this is the number one thing missed about Ausar Thompson and Jalen Duren too. Make sure I thumbs up the video. They didn't pick these guys. I think people forget that. They didn't pick them. Jalen Duren was picked by Troy Weaver, which I thought was a great pick. Ausar Thompson, I was the only one standing on the table picking Ausar Thompson. Everybody wanted somebody different. I say, bro, they say one of them Thompson boys, they can play. I got videos in the archives. So you got to remember, this is a totally objective standpoint. You can just tell they wanted to get rid of Jaden Ivey. They wanted to get rid of Jaden Ivey. They really did. They wanted to dump Jaden Ivey in the trash. The best thing that happened for them, and I'm not saying this is the best thing that happened, was Jaden Ivey getting hurt. Because they really wanted to move Jaden Ivey off that spot. That's a fact. Because Jaden Ivey was playing really, really well. He shot the ball really, really well. He played really, really well. They wanted to get rid of Jaden Ivey. They wanted to get rid of him. And Ausar Thompson, they could have got rid of him, had blood clots, got sick. They really, really like him. And they really, really like him. And then you look in that draft, it's a lot of guys that's still developing. I like where Wembanyama is. I like where Brandon Miller is. I think Scoot's starting to turn that corner. It's going to be hard playing with a whole bunch of other guards. This is the draft that Thompson's in. Amen Thompson, he went one over Ausar. Right now, I would say Ausar stock is above Amen Thompson. And looking at their jump shot, Amen kind of got still a little hitch to his jump shot. Thompson's jump shot look a little bit fluid. I think Anthony Black is going to be big time in my opinion. I don't know nothing about this kid from France. Josh Walker, a lot of Piston fans wanted him. It didn't work out. I love Taylor Kendricks. Don't know what happened with him. Cason Wallace is doing pretty well. A lot of people like him. Jet Howard, don't know what happened. Derek Lively is doing well in Dallas. I think he got injured last year. Grady Dick, I thought somebody the Pistons should look at, but they got a bunch enough shooters right now. He drowning up there in Toronto. Jordan Hawkins, Kobe Buffkin from Michigan. I don't know what happened to bro. Keontae George, I like him a lot. Yami Vaquez, he's playing well. Pravinsky, they trying to give him every shot over there. Cam Whitmore just got traded again. I like this game coming out of Villanova. Don't know what happened. Obviously, Marcus Sasser, he went here. We just traded him, didn't give him a chance. So yeah, this draft, it wasn't horrible, but I can't really rate it because there's a lot of guys still coming up. I'm a believer in Anthony Black, though. I am. Other guys in this draft in the second round, I don't really know. Ain't this the dude that Drake was smashing his mom? Drake was smashing his mom, Amari Bailey. Am I tripping? Yeah, I don't know what happened to my brother, Amani Bates. But yeah. Y'all get what I'm saying. So, but yeah, I see where they say he's the second best player. I definitely get that because they're projecting him to make a jumper. And what I seen, we seen Killian hit a bunch of jumpers and working out, but they were usually, guys with pads and Ausar shooting them in the game. So if he can just do what Kawhi did, if he can do what Tony Parker did, master that mid-range jumper, I think it's a wrap. I think he can be your second best player, in my opinion. I wonder if JD messing up the team chemistry by holding. No, they was all at K Day in Arlington. A lot of them was at Jalen Duren Day in Delaware. Nah, I'm gonna say this. Shout out to Man Beats More. So y'all go subscribe. When you work with guys, they understand about the money factor. That's why I tell guys at work, when you work with, never discuss how much money you make. But they understand the money. They understand it. I don't think it's messing up the chemistry. I think they understand the situation. So I think if it got that bad, K would just go to Tom Gores and vouch for him. I think Tom Gores would pay him. The hate is real no matter what we do. It's not good enough to the media. Yeah, true. Mike V been saying shock jock shit for some time. It's not a bad take. It's not a bad take because you start to look at, Cleveland, Harden, Mitchell, Mobley, Philadelphia, which, y'all know how I feel about Philly, but it's still Tyrese, Brian, Joel, Brown, which I think Jaylen Brown's the best player on that team, but I think it's Maxey team. Boston, Jason Tatum, Derek White, I guess. So, but Ausar Thompson shoot a jump shot. It's not. Ausar seems to be improving. I love his game and overall potential. Yeah, they're not really in a rush, in my opinion. What you rushing for? Like I said, they stay at the same place where Toronto is, Orlando is, Charlotte is, Chicago is. They're at the same place as far as youth. They got a large window. There's no need to fuck that window up. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's the time and place. When you have all these contracts, they have the trade deadline. If it ain't trending towards it's trending, you got to go get a player. Same thing with the Lions. They had a whole draft of 2024 guys. They could have traded them picks and ended up with guys. But the positive thing about the 2024 draft, you ain't got to pay nobody. And none of them niggas are in a good big contract. Now I can name them: Terry Arnold, Ennis Rackstraw, Giovanni Manu, Sonoy Vaki, Makai Wingo, and Christian Mahogany. Ain't none of them earned a big contract. So guess what? You got more money to play with. It's always half glass full, half empty mentality. It depends how you look at it. A problem that people don't talk enough about is Ausar terrible free throws. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, you got to be able to shoot it. You got to be able to shoot free throws. That's true. You can't stay on the floor if you can't shoot free throws. That's a fact. That's something that nobody talk about. You can't be a good player on the floor and you ain't shooting at least 75% from the free throw line. It's a lot of really good three-point shooters who should be shooting 90% from the free throw line, and they shoot less than that. That's just my opinion. So he's a 60% free throw shooter for career. Glad you brought that up. So he shot 64 the second year, So that's the what really brought, but really he's a sub 60% free throw shooter. So yeah, you got to be able to hit them free throws. JD and Ausar are my favorite players. K2 said cool, like amen, but he's also like Ausar. Yeah, he's a little bit better offensively than Ausar. We could have used Ivy in the playoffs. I think he was too far gone. I think he was having mental lapses behind the scenes, and they kept him under wraps. Hendrick F his knees up 2 seasons ago. Damn, I liked him coming out of Central Florida. He said Ausar has the wing prototype of early 2000s. You can feel you can't lose in the long haul. Yeah. Jiro Wallace type. Them boys young, they understand the business and the chemistry is fine. Yeah, Philly about to flop. Watch. I mean, that's common sense. But then it's the last Piston topic I'm gonna have before I switch. So I seen this. So it was going viral that Cameron Boozer was locking up Cade, and then obviously what didn't go viral was the full. It was the full clip. It was the full clip came out. I didn't share. I'm gonna share it on Facebook, but the full clip came out of Cade Cunningham, what he really did to Davion Mitchell and Cameron Boozer in that pickup game. So the full clip ended up coming out, and and Cade was cooking them. So first it was Miami. They were going hard about it. And look at Davion, he gonna have a good season. He locking up. He locking up Cade. It was Cameron Boozer. He locking up Cade. And then the full clip came out, and I might release it on Facebook. And Cade was cooking their ass. So, so Gilbert Arenas reacted to it. So I had some fun with it. I got one more clip, but
Cade get locked up by Cam Boozer. I saw him get locked up. It's one clip.
I mean, that can happen. I mean, if there's 100 possessions, I'm pretty sure you can find one of somebody locking me up. When I scored 60, when I scored 54, when I scored 51, I'm pretty sure for one possession, someone held me, because it's not like I had all 100 points. Someone held me. If you just clip that and like, oh, look, I locked them up. But the box score is the box score. 60. 54 and the game went. I get this. You got to put the whole picture together. Don't just make highlights for the tube. That's all I'm saying. Just don't make it for the tube.
Cade get locked up by Cam Boozer. I saw him get locked up. It's one clip.
I mean, that can happen. I mean, if there's 100 possessions, I'm pretty sure you can find one of somebody locking me up. When I scored 60, when I scored 54, when I scored 51, I'm pretty sure for one possession, someone held me, because it's not like I had all 100 points. Someone held me. If you just clip that and like, oh, look, I locked them up. But the box score is the box score. 60, 54 and the game went. I get this. You got to put the whole picture together. Don't just make highlights for the tube. That's all I'm saying.
And that was perfectly said. That was perfectly said about him. Like, people look at one possession. Anybody can stop somebody at one possession. People get tired. It's repetition. People can lose the ball. People can have an off possession. People get to tweak their ankle. And like he said before, of course, even when Kobe tore somebody for 81 or Bam tore somebody for 83, there's possessions in there where somebody might have locked Bam up, locked Kobe up, lock Jokic up when he went for 50, lock Jordan up when he went for 63. You know what I'm saying? Like, people read too much into clips. And then they gonna put a battery in Cade back, and every time you see Cameron Boozer, he gonna put 50 on him. I remember hearing, Tracy McGrady just talk about why he always torched Kenyon Martin. He said Kenyon Martin fouled him real hard one time. He thought they was cool. So every time he seen Kenyon Martin, he gave him a 40 piece at least. So, people just take clips, and go, wow, like, you can go rent a Ferrari or a Bentley right now and people think you got it. People love looking at the highlights. You look at these women highlights on their little reels and shit, you be thinking a little bitch lit and shit. And in general, she broke. She begging. She living on food stamps. You look at her house, it's dirty, it's nasty. She always look clean and good. But then, you look how she really living. You like, oh, this bitch a bum. There, we live in a social media era where people love to look at the clips, the highlights. But people don't see, everybody see the highlights. They see the success. They see the success of what you got going on. But ain't nobody see the ugly parts of it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really see the ugly shit of it. You know what I mean? But I'll play this clip. I got couple more Piston clips, and then we're gonna get into Lions and wrap it up. So Lindsey Hunter, he responded. I did the video to this. So Robert Ory, talked about. I just let him go. Let's ride Robert Ory. Let's go.
Turning Detroit team, right? I mean, minus whatever's going on with Jalen Duren, but I know, right?
That's still stuck in limbo.
I'm starting to feel like the Cavs and the Pistons are the same team. Remember last year, the Cavs was so freaking good, and we thought, okay, here's this young team on the rise, and they all of a sudden they start spiraling down. I feel like the same thing gonna happen with the Pistons, because when you look at that Pistons lineup, you take Cade Cunningham out the mix. Who scares you?
I mean, Duren, if he's healthy and he's signed.
Yeah.
Who else is? God, I don't even know the depth on that lineup. That's a great question.
Yeah. The Angel Thompson, you know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
but my point is, I think sometimes there's been 3 teams. I said 2 teams. They're gonna be the third in my mind. I hope I'm wrong, because I think Cade Cunningham is one of the best players in the league. You think about the Cavs jumped out on everybody a couple years ago, then disappeared. Sacramento Kings jumped out on everybody. This is a new start.
Yeah,
disappeared. And I hope this doesn't happen to the Pistons, but I feel like it is. Not because of them, just because if you look at the East, it was so much movement in the East that everybody got a little bit better. And so I think that's going to cause the Pistons to fall back down to earth. Even Orlando got better. The Hawks got better.
Dude, honestly, there's a lot of teams in the East that got a lot better.
It's only one team in the East that really didn't get better.
Then it's the Detroit Pistons. They didn't have anything. So you got Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, Duncan Robinson, Ausar Thompson. Okay. I mean, he's a good player. And then it kind of falls off. John Collins.
And we didn't even mention the Wizards.
Yeah, no, we talked briefly about the Wizards last week, but you're gonna have the Wizards.
So it's gonna be a different look for the Detroit Pistons. Detroit basketball.
Well, we're gonna find out quick. We're gonna find out opening night as they get the Celtics. So we're gonna see what both of those teams have left.
But I'm shocked that they still got this Jalen thing just hanging out.
It's just stuck, man.
Yeah.
From all the reports I read too, it's gonna push on into September. Yeah. They're at an impasse, and he's more than likely he's just gonna have to take his offer, his 1 year, and then just go from there and try to restructure a deal as the season goes on. But he may not have a choice.
Hey, back in the day, a guy would sign his deal, come into training camp, take 2 sips. My back.
I gotta sit out.
My back. I'm hurt. I'm hurt.
I'm out till opening night.
You remember that? How many old school guys? You know what? I ain't gonna miss no money.
No.
Go to this place, my back gonna be hurt until you sign me a deal. Then my back will be better.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, my ankle doesn't bother me anymore. Yeah. I think I'm good on the run on this thing. Wednesday the 21st.
All right, so we're gonna go over here. So Lindsey Hunter actually responded. Let's go.
Rob, you my boy, dog. We want to chip together. But you know what I'm saying? Don't speak on the Pistons, bro.
Particularly Robert Ory said the Pistons are the only team in the East that didn't get better. And he said
Rob, put the camera on me, bro.
He said if you look at the East, there was so much movement in the East, everybody got a little better. That's going to cause the Pistons to fall back down.
I think the Pistons did get better.
Rob, you my boy, dog. We want to chip together. But you know what I'm saying? Don't speak on the Pistons, bro. Don't speak on us like that, because every year everybody say we don't do nothing in the offseason. 2 years ago they said they gave us a C-, didn't they? Something like that. Yeah. We won 54. The next year they gave us a C. 60. So give us a D this year so we can win. Rob, you my.
Yeah, we live in a social media era where everybody just wants to see splash names. OKC didn't do a lot of big things as far as, they got Isaiah Hartenstein, but they just stayed the process. Develop, Jalen Williams, Shea Gillensley, Shat Holmgren, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Lou Dort. They just built it. They just built it like they built the old OKC teams. Durant, Russell Westbrook, Harden, Ibaka. And the Pistons just gonna bank on developing, honestly. And also, if the development don't go how they think it's gonna go, they've got a lot of contracts. Isaiah Joe, Gary Harris, Taurean Prince, Duncan Robinson. It's a number of guys that they can trade and go get somebody. So they're going to believe in developing. It's really, I had to get in a mindset. There's really no rush for the Pistons to there's really no rush for the Pistons to do nothing. They're young enough. So if you believe that Ausar Thompson is going to make that step, Duren is going to make that step, I don't know why you wouldn't believe they would. If you believe in their character, you got to remember it's an objective standpoint of view. Wasn't Troy and Langdon kids. This was Troy Reaver kids. So they're going to bank on camaraderie. They're going to bank on self-development. They got Isaiah Joe. They kept Duncan Robinson. That was a big thing for me. They got John Collins, who's been a 2010 guy. One of the best things I like about Collins, everybody talk about the three-point shooting. I like the fact that Collins can go out there on most years and give you 10 rebounds. Tobias Harris was getting you 5-6 rebounds a game. If Collins can give me 10 rebounds a game, I think that's a huge upgrade. I think if Collins can give you 10 rebounds, you know what I'm saying, and hit his corner threes and give you an athletic lob threat and he can post up, I mean, I like that. People, you're not talking about, Dennis Jenkins, he going to get better. Cade going to get better. Ron Holland's working out with Cade and working out with Dennis Jenkins. Dennis Jenkins got one of the best trainers in basketball. Look at some of the guys that he turned out. You know what I'm saying? So to be honest with you, they banking on self-development. Duren going to get better. Ausar going to get better. Dennis Jenkins going to get better. Ron Holland's, it's time for him to make that jump. And you kept a lot of shooting. Keeping Duncan Robinson was key. Isaiah Joe was key. And then also, we see what happens with Abuka Okori. We'll see what happened with Abuka Okori. So I thought this was an interesting conversation, but yeah, we can move on. So, let's get a couple more comments. He said, I didn't even pay that attention to free throw percentage, but if he improves that, it makes him a better player. Gil Funny. He said, Jordan got locked up by Joey D at times. Yep, Robert Rory really called Ausar Angel Thompson. Yeah, that was crazy. I peeped that. Shout out to Mega Hustle. He said, the Pistons have never been a franchise that's been stacked with superstars. No. He looked at the name aesthetic standpoint, not looking from a team. And that's the problem. Everybody think you throw a whole bunch of superstars on the team, and you think it's going to work. It don't work that way, especially with everybody having to have the ball in this era. When K didn't play, we won 13 and lost 5. Yeah, that's true. And that's what Stu out too. The Pistons are not designed like that. They're made for defense. That's their identity and culture. So Evergreen, he said, right, Eddie, exactly. Man, Beast Morris, he said, Pistons will be fine. We live in a what have you done for me lately society and culture. Yup, not what you will do. I get that die, but for he said I agree. Collins was overlooked, underrated. So yeah, I like the fact that he can rebound. Last year he didn't rebound for the Clippers, but I like that he can rebound. That's something that nobody really looking at, that he can rebound the basketball. But let's move on. So apparently there was some interesting talks yesterday about what we seen from the Lions and from Derek Moore. We heard how well Derek Moore we heard how well he looked in training camp, and Ahmad Hassan, hopefully I'm saying his name right. I don't read much into what you hear in Lions training camp at all. I don't read much into it. Like I said, I don't read much into it, but apparently Derek Moore is tearing shit up. And one of the more impressive things about the Detroit Lions too is that what's the dude's name? Calvin Shepard is now getting more autonomy over what he can do with the Lions. Now they're showing like what y'all wanted from Brian Flores to come here. Now he's showing he's showing more, multiple fronts. He's showing, more exotic looks. Now they're going to match up as far as with, most of these guys playing, most teams, they base offense as 3 wide receivers or of some sort. And now you see in the Lions going to do more sub packages. I feel like they did more sub packages when Brian Branch played the nickel. And now you're going to start to see them have, 3 corners out there and 1 less linebacker out there. And, it's a lot that's changing, right?
Derek, first preseason game, how did it feel to to get out there?
It felt good just to be back out here, play in front of Ford Field, in front of the fans. This felt great. I just got to clean up a little bit of things, on the field, but, it just felt good being back out here.
Can you describe the adrenaline rush of playing at Ford Field?
Oh, man, it's amazing. I played at the big house. I think this is probably more turned than the big house, I love the energy, and I'm just ready to be in here for the season.
And a lot of people were questioning Brad Holmes drafting him. You know what I'm saying? And, and rightfully so. When you start to look at Detroit Lions draft history of lately, he hasn't done a really good job of drafting defensive players of lately. He was off a little bit, and most likely it was the DBs, right? He doesn't put much emphasis on the DBs, and he puts a lot of emphasis on the DBs, but he don't put much emphasis on the defensive line. It would seem like Hutch can just figure it out for herself, and then when you kind of go and look, the last, couple drafts before this one, you had 2025, you had Tyleik Williams, who didn't have the best year last year. And then defensively, you had, didn't do much, Ahmad Hassani. He got injured. And then you go back to this infamous 2024 draft, and you just say, Makai Wingo, when he plays, he flashes, but he can't stay healthy. Rackstraw and can't stay healthy. And Terrion Arnold, even when he played, he couldn't stay healthy. And he just, he seemed to be in position to make great plays on the ball, just a little bit too handsy. This is why I preferred them getting Quinyon Mitchell. So they took 1-2 since the 2023 draft, which they had a lot of success defensively here. Campbell, Branch, Roger Martin was a huge miss. But since that draft, Mwingo can't stay healthy. Rackstraw can't stay healthy. Terrion couldn't stay healthy and stay out of trouble and start hold. It ain't been a whole bunch of defensive picks neither. Don't know much about Dan Jackson. Hamad Hassan, he got injured, but it's looking good so far. Tyleik Williams, he said he was dealing with an injury last year. He had to lose some weight. And then this year, it's a lot talked about. I think, let me say this first and foremost. I think they were going to be very, very high on Jimmy Roller. I think it was going to be high on him. I'm gonna tell you why. I think he was probably going to start, because for them to go out there and get Devin, what's the brother's name? Devin from the Bucks. He played with the Raiders. So Devin Smith, for them to go out there and get him, and he actually started. They was planning on starting this kid. He's going to play a big. I don't know if he's going to start, but he's going to play a big role. And then you got Derek Moore, and Keith Abney. They like him a lot. Skylar Gill Howard. They like him a lot. But I think Keith Abney and Derek Moore is going to play a very, very, he's going to play a lot. So he had a bounce back year. Now Derek Moore is just moving around the line, rushing inside, rushing standing up, rushing on the edge. Hamad. And last year they didn't have much. To be honest, when you look at that roster last year that they had at playing defensive end, it wasn't much to talk about. It was Aiden Hutchinson. What was your boy Marcus Davenport got injured, and then who was behind him? Our good boy we wanted to bring back a lot. What was my man's name? I liked him a lot. Al-Qayyid Muhammad. Yeah, I wanted to see him. You couldn't see him. They let him go. He played well, and that was pretty much it. I had really 3 or 4 defensive ends, and this year they strengthened it up. You got, Peyton Turner, DJ Wanham got a sack. Peyton Turner, I didn't really care for him because his injury history with a lot of talent. DJ Moore, Ahmad Hassan, Aiden Hutchinson. On the inside, you got, Anzarike, he rehabbing, but then you got Tyleik, you got Lane McNeil back. So, yeah, the defensive line is looking on the up and up. The front seven is looking on the up and up. When you get Jimmy Roller back, you're going to be good. You got Rodrigo, you got Derek Barnes, you got Jack Campbell, you got was it Devin? If his name Devin Smith, I don't know why I'm just blanking on his name. They say he looked really good in camp. So, really fast. Again, you got Devin Smith. No, what's the brother's name for the Lions? Man, I forget the dude's name, man. Why am I blanking on his name out of LSU? Devin White. Thank you, Devin White. So yeah, ultimately that defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson got some help, and just hoping that they can stay healthy throughout throughout the playoffs. But then again, on the other side of it, the other period of it is health. Health now, both your safeties, they've, scheduled to be back early in the season. I know Kirby Joseph had to step away from the team for personal reasons. So they expect him to be back. But then you turn around and you talking about with Brian Branch, they expect him to be back in the money year. And then the cornerback position, it's a lot of talk, like they need to go out there and get some help. A lot of people want them to go get Joey Porter Jr. I think he's a really good fit for what they do. Because do you really feel confident with, Keith Aberney at the nickel, which I don't think they had a problem with. You got Roger McCreary, you got Roxanne, you got Avonte Maddox who's going to play safety, but can play corner. DJ Reed doing dumbass backflips at the game yesterday. I don't know why he did that. So you got a lot of depth in his Rackstraw. You got a lot of depth at the cornerback position, but it's like a lot of like singles. You need to hit a triple or a home run. And I think trading for Joey Porter Jr., even if you gonna pay him or not pay him, you know what you're gonna get. Pittsburgh still are tough. Put him at the corner. Him and DJ Reed. Then you got a lot of depth at that point. Keith Aberney at the nickel. Lewis Sign at the nickel. Roger McCurry can play nickel outside. You got Roxanne, Ennis Rackstraw. So really at that point, you're not really dependent on Ennis Rackstraw to be the number two or the backup corner to number two, or you're not, at that point it gives them more cushion. You kind of see what I'm saying? Like you'll have DJ Reed and Joey Porter Jr. and then Roxanne will be the next backup, and then it'll be Ennis Rackstraw or Roger McCreary. You wouldn't be counting on them so much. So I think going to get Joey Porter Jr., I mean, even if you can't agree to contract, because at this point, do you really plan on re-signing Brian Branch? You don't know. Will Brian Branch have a huge season, bouncing back? Last year was a little shaky before the injury. So maybe to keep Brian Branch, you'll be able to keep him on the low. Sam Laporta got injured again. We don't know if we're going to see him again. They be lying about injuries. So you don't even know if you're going to sell. That's what I probably ain't got to pay Brian Branch a lot of money. I probably ain't got to pay Sam Laporta a bunch of money. Might end up losing Kirby Joseph. We don't know. So, at the end of the day, if I can go out there and make a Joey Porter happen, why not? And I can probably see why they feel like, okay, we don't need to go get a Max Crosby. You know what I'm saying? We got some guys there that we really like. We can move across that line. So they're going to scheme. They're going to scheme to order this year. They're going to play more nickel-based defenses. They're going to move guys around. They're going to do exotic fronts. They're going to show. And I think Calvin Shepard's got full autonomy. I think what Dan Campbell wants and what I've heard he wants is man-to-man defense. But at that point, we can't play man-to-man and double a man-to-man and play somebody in a zone. If you're gonna play man-to-man, you gotta either have the illusion of pressure or don't know who coming, or you have to blitz. So now, they're going to kind of move some guys around and match up a little bit more and, be a little bit more exotic. And, hearing that Seattle only ran 12 defensive plays, I think that kind of blew people's minds. But, with those exotic looks, you know how I go. But give me 1 minute. I got a phone call. Hold on. Let's see. Whoop, I ain't got no videos. Let's see. So give me a minute. I'll be right back. Yeah, my bad, y'all. Phone call. But yeah, like I was saying, yeah, now they're gonna mix the defense up a little bit more. So I actually it do sound like the old Donkey Kong song music. Like when you go into the water and you underwater. That's I got the Donkey Kong. I got all types of games over there, bro. I bought Madden too, man. They changed the defensive audibles and shit. I'm old, so I'm like, what the fuck? 'Cause I ain't really play it last year. I be buying it. I buy games and I give it to the kid next door. I know he gonna hate when I leave, when I move out. I'll be giving my shit away to the kids, man, all the time. I ain't get my Tekken. I think I still got my. I don't know if I gave my Tekken. I love Tekken. Is like my top fighting game. I'm the greatest Tekken player. Or at least I was the greatest Tekken player that ever existed for a while. Self-proclaimed. That's my favorite fighting game was Tekken. I got Xbox Game Pass. I remember they jumped that shit up to like $30 a month, $35 a month. Then his Xbox CEO wrote a letter. I done had that shit for like 5-6 years. It feel like that. I don't even play the game sometimes. I be coming on my shit. I don't be giving a hell. And then she was like, she taking it back down to like $25 a month. I'm like, shit, okay, I can pay that. Hell yeah, Tekken 1 and Tekken 2, yup. Tekken Tag. I think that was technically Tekken 3. That was technically Tekken 3 and shit, man. That was my favorite fighting game because I was good at that shit. I got a Mortal Kombat trilogy. Both the trilogies, the Supreme whatever. I gotta jailbreak my PlayStation Classic though. I just ain't got around to it. Hopefully I can get around to it. But yeah, Gil Howard to beat them. I mean, they doing a great job, man, defensively. But on an offensive standpoint, Laporta going down. I mean, it's always a yin and yang. Like I talking about the 2024 NBA draft. It's always a yin and yang. You got a draft class where you probably not gonna pay nobody nothing expensive, so you get more cap room. You know what I'm saying? So even in this situation with Branch going down and Laporta going down and Kirby going down, and people talking about the Lions window, whether it's open, it's closed, however you feel about it. If these guys don't have great years this year, or can't continue, then that just clears up more opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So let's say, Laporta, don't have the best year this year. Guess what? I ain't got to pay him top dollar or he can walk. I can replace him. Branch don't play good this year. Guess what? I ain't got to pay him top dollar. I can replace him. So that's one thing you got to look at. So you got a lot of guys, playing with a chip on their shoulder. But I think for them to top off this defense, no Diddy, it's got to be with a proven corner out there. So got to be with a proven corner. Joey Porter make the most sense. Send him right over from Pittsburgh. It ain't that far, but offensively, seeing a defensive line wreck against the starting Bengals offensive line and probably the starters with Jaden Daniels, I think that gives you a lot of hope. I think from an offensive line standpoint for the Lions, you going against some dogs, so they getting battle tested. And I know I was listening to somebody on 97 on the ticket. I think they were saying that they don't really like the interior of the defensive line. And I think that's probably from a center standpoint of view, what's going on with center. Honestly, Radlich, I like him where he at. If they play him at center or not, and Miles Frazier or Christian Mahogany, I like him where they at. I think you should put Radlich at the left guard position and then put Mahogany at right guard. I think Mahogany killed it at right guard when he was healthy and playing a couple years ago. So I think that's what they should do. And then if Tay Ratliff's got to play center, that's why you drafted him. Put him at center, figure it out. But at the left guard, but at the guard position, at the center position, it's too critical. If you got to remix that offensive line, you got to remix it. But if Tay gonna be your center, Mahogany and Frazier gonna be your guards, so be it. So be it. But the offensive line, does it concern me a little bit? Yeah. Yeah, but one thing that give me hope is if you going against guys like Derek Moore, Aiden Hutchinson, they can't block them. Malik McNeil can't be blocked. You want to get some of those. They getting a good battle test. So Drew Petzing is a guy who I was one of the few advocates for. I was one of the few advocates for Drew Petzing. I didn't know much about him. I did research, and I said, this is the guy they need. So, he's been a guy that's believed in ground and pound. So he got that mentality. He's a guy that's going to cook the order for this offense. So yeah, I mean I like a lot of things they did. I think with Drew Petzing, I think with that remix offensive line, he has some things ready for them. He'll be ready. My thing is this, Ben Johnson couldn't get J-Mo going. John Morton couldn't get J-Mo going. And unfortunately for Sam Laporta, you had the greatest tight end offensive coordinator in Drew Petzing, who's going to get you paid. Every year, the tight ends under Drew Petzing get paid. So, if it's whoever the tight end, if it's Brock Wright, they bring Tyler Conklin. Somebody about to eat that tight end this year until, Laporta get back. But J-Mo, I'm interested to see if they can get the ball to J-Mo. I'm interested to see if Dan Campbell's the only offensive coordinator for the Lions that can get the ball to J-Mo. I'm interested to see if they get the ball to J-Mo. I'm interested to see Jahmyr Gibbs, what they do with him. I'm interested in the offense in general. I'm really interested because if you look at the offense, look and see how he already tailor-made stuff for Josh Dobbs to look good running the ball. I'm very interested in the offense. I'm very interested to see what they're going to look like. I'm interested. Are they going to be more fluid? They're going to be more – because remember that Green Bay game last year was nasty. They had offensive line issues. There was, Graham Glasgow playing center. Now you thought Kay Mays had submitted them at center. Now it's like, Now they mixing it up in the offensive line. But I want to see it. No Laporta week 1. So I'm interested to see it, bro. I'm very interested to see, what they look like, how they distribute the football. And even with Laporta being out now they're going to have to lean on J-Mo. So I'm very interested to see it. How they going to use Jahmyr Gibbs. And we know it. He used James Conner in probably a similar way he's going to lose Jahmyr Gibbs. Conner was great out the backfield catching the ball. Conner was good at running the ball between the tackles. I mean, what he did in the red zone, speaking on Drew Petzing with Trey McBride. I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think he's never had a receiver like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Probably never had a receiver like J-Mo. So it's going to be interesting to see how the offense, how they utilize these guys. Because I think John Morton just wanted too many explosive plays. I want to see who is John Morton going to lean on. Because on third down, it's Laporta, Amon-Ra. You know what I'm saying? I really want to see his philosophy. The one thing that probably going to be missing is his inability to have a Montgomery here to see if he can do what Ben Johnson did. And Ben Johnson, I think, the biggest takeaway he took to Chicago was his 2-back system. He just knew how to use two running backs. And, as soon as he left, as soon as Dave Montgomery went down, they stopped using 2 backs. That's a fact. That he went down that year, they lost to Washington. He came back. So I'm interested to see how, how to use Gibbs. I see a lot of Gibbs running routes. Like I said, James Conner did a lot of catching out the backfield for Pittsburgh and, for him. So I'm interested. The offense has really got me peaking. Defensively, they got me peaking, kind of knowing that it's going to be more complex but more simplified. Calvin Shepard, he studied the Seattle Seahawks defense. And they don't have a big name front seven. They just, they did exotic looks, and I'm interested to see this season. I think it's going to be a good season for them. I think it is, but I just want to see how it look. I want to see how it look. I kind of see what they do in training camp with Montgomery with Gibbs out the backfield. But the biggest disappointment that I had this year, he back now. I want to see Snowy Vacky getting some action out the backfield. I want to see him replace David Montgomery. That's what I really wanted to see. He a big back. He kind of put you in the mind frame of James Conner a little bit. Big back, a little bit more shiftier, catch the ball out there. I want to see more. I want to see Snowy Vacky be the number 2 running back. But now you got Sailors, you got Isaiah Pacheco. He got hurt. I want to see you got this Trayvon Williams kid. I want to see Snowy Vacky get his shot at being the number 2 running back. He intrigued me a lot, but We'll see. We'll see. I think Dan Campbell's on the hot seat. I've been saying that. I don't think he's from a hot seat from a X's and O's standpoint of view. I think he's on the hot seat from an injury standpoint of view. I think he hasn't done a great job preserving his players. They do too much fucking hitting, and this year it's the point proven again. Sam Laporta out. The two safeties, it's nothing that you can control on that. Those happened from last offseason, but the Jimmy Roller guy out, you're gonna have rookies with issues. Derek Moore been injured, but he gotta find a way to preserve Cade Mays. What he had a broken finger or some shit, a wrist or some. He gotta find a way to taper it back a little bit. Once again, they going into the season with too many injuries. And then, Dan Campbell Brad Holmes got to do a better job. Peyton Turner, why bring him here? He always injured. I get why they brought him here now. You see Ahmad, you see Derek Moore, you see some of these guys. But, yeah, you got to, kind of got to keep it moving. But, I think the finishing touch for them is probably going to get a corner, You're going to get a and then Tesla. There's a lot of talk about Tesla too, man. A lot of people, he dropped some balls, and I ain't really tripping on that, bro. Like, I don't really get too damn about preseason. Get y'all warm ups in, but they got to implement him too. I mean, well, shit. With what's the Laporta going? They got to use him, so it don't really mind me. He ain't gonna be nobody to get a bunch of separation right now. Muhsin Muhammad didn't. You had those type of guys that didn't get a lot of separation, big body receivers, Brandon Marshall, Randy Moss and T.O., Fitzgerald, he wasn't the fastest, but Fitzgerald was able to get separation running route, breaking out in and out of routes. But, you got those elite big receivers that can get separation. T. Higgins, a lot of times you see T. Higgins, he make a lot of contested catches. So that's what kind of concerned me with Jared Goff is that the improv isn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't give you an opportunity to he don't give you the opportunity to get the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't throw people open. He just too by the book. You ever work with somebody that do everything by the book? In this economy, you can't blame him. He got to trust Tesla. And I think he is learning to trust Tesla. You got to throw him open. You know what I'm saying? You got to throw Tesla open. You know what I'm saying? So, I think Tesla's going to be a big part of what they do. But, hey, it is what it is. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Hopefully this was lengthy enough for y'all. Y'all got any questions, I'll stay and ask. But, yeah, I'm excited for the Lions this year, man. I don't know if y'all know about the Cosmo in Detroit. No, they ain't paying me for this, but it's a virtual dome that they opened up in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? It opened September 10th. They got one in Dallas and other places, whatever. So it's expensive, for some of the games, but they open September 10th. I think that's for the NFL night. This is it's right in Cadillac Square, I believe. Yeah, this was gonna look like. It's right in Cadillac Square. So let me see, and I'll show y'all some. I think you walk right by it if you go into the Pistons games from the MGM Grand, because Brush Street is where I've walked right by it, bro. Where's the MGM Grand? This Woodward, but it's right here, whatever the hell it is. I'm trying to find the. So it's not in Cadillac. No. So you got the Renton Marriott right here. The Blue Cross building right here. I've walked by it before. So it's sitting right on if I can get there. If it let me zoom in. It won't let me zoom in. But it's sitting right here by the Guardian building, the Windsor Tunnel, right on there we go. It's right by, but not too far from that 7-Eleven store neither. Right by the Cadillac Tower and shit. So yeah, I don't know if they hired or not, but yeah, this is gonna be sitting at let me see. I can show y'all some videos. Why, I know y'all probably like, what is this shit? I'm gonna show you. I'm going to show you Here, let me show you. Let me show y'all why. What makes the Cosmo, and they show movies too. They're showing Harry Potter to kick it off, I believe, and then they're showing Harry Potter. It was something else I wanted to see. Oh, the Matrix. So this is. I'm gonna show y'all this. Hold on. So this is what the Cosmo is.
One of these crazy Cosm Dome venues, and it looks ridiculously awesome. If you've ever been to a planetarium, it's like that, but way, way better. Cosm Detroit will feature an 87-foot dome with over 12,000 LEDs that you basically sit inside of like you're hanging out at a bar, but you're in the middle of anything that's going on. So sports, concerts, fights, even footage of deep space can be blasted on this thing. So the real question is, what's the first thing that you'd like to see at this place? Let me know.
So let me explain it to y'all. Oh, y'all can even see it. I'm sitting here, man. I apologize. I'm sitting here. Y'all can even see it. I keep doing this, but here you go. You can see it now. I don't know why I keep doing it.
Detroit is actually getting one of these crazy Cosm Dome venues, and it looks ridiculously awesome. If you've ever been to a planetarium, it's like that, but way, way better. Cosm Detroit will feature an 87-foot dome with over 12,000 LEDs that you basically sit inside of like you're hanging out at a bar, but you're in the middle of anything that's going on. So sports, concerts, fights, even footage of deep space can be blasted on this thing. So the real question is, what's the first thing that you'd like to see at this place? Let me know in the comment.
So let me explain it to y'all. Basically, all that screen you see behind it, this is where you be sitting at right here. It's like a bar, all the bar and all this stuff here. And you'll be sitting right here, and it'll look like you right in the game. You could be you could sit in where you could sit at the 50-yard line or behind the field goal sticks. It's super dope. It's super dope. So if you can't go to the real game, or you don't want to spend all that money going to the real game, they got a bar. You can rent venue space in there as well too. I read. It's like you right in the game, bro. That's what it look like kind of like that Spear, and it's like that Spear in Vegas. So yeah, they open it up September 10th. I believe they're showing I think they're showing Harry Potter at first, and then the Matrix, and then the Monday the opening NBA Jesus Christ. The opening football kickoff. I think the grand opening is the opening kickoff for the Rams and the 49ers. Then they're showing other events, Michigan and Oklahoma, Harry Potter, the Matrix. So, and you could just look at all the events at their website, man. It's really dope. So yeah, man. Yep. So if you didn't know about the Cosm Detroit, man, it's dope. Yeah, the Cosm like a subscription thing. No, it's not. I don't think it's a subscription. No. You can just buy tickets. I ain't gonna say they cheap. Though, but yeah, I ain't gonna say it's cheap, but yeah, cheaper than going to Lions game. See, my thing is JD is nobody to get 200 million. You talking about somebody greedy, man. If you're entitled to it, you're entitled to it. If that was you and your son, and they said he was eligible to get $286 million, I think you want your son to get his money. But hey, let me get up out of here. Appreciate y'all. Peace.